broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 83 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. How's it going, fellas?
Good. This is the first time we're together with nobody else in a long time.
That's true. Just the three.
Not that we don't like Chad, but
the three Musketeers, the three Caballeros. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think Go
ahead, Trevor. Sorry. something like that. Yeah, it hasn't been the three of us in quite a while. So, or maybe was it 2 episodes ago? Did we do? I don't remember.
I don't know. I was gone there for a bit, so I think it's been since March.
the first episode you came back was the Chad episode, right?
Yeah.
I have to say, guys, I don't know if either one of you got to play trivia, but I was a little I was disappointed in myself.
I was beating you for a while, which should be totally disappointing.
Well, I had a couple problems too, where I fat fingered at least 2 or 3 questions wrong, and then there was another one where my screen had just like dimmed, and so I just touched my screen to come back on again, and it was right when the question came up, and I was like, no.
I have to say that I enjoyed it more than I thought.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't necessarily love the technical aspect of the questions. Again, as I stated when I was on the actual thing, I would love a Disney cartoon afternoon one. Like, I'd be in on that. Sign me up. I think I'd be in the minority, though, is the problem.
Well, I told him that he needs to do a cartoon one for you. So
I would crush.
Yeah.
First of all, me and Trevor would be unstoppable.
Our team would come in first.
That's a whole ocean of information there that we haven't really tapped into yet. So
yeah, we would crush that.
Well, and I was disappointed in myself. I was doing really well in the
I was beating you in transportation for like 4 or 5 questions, and then I fell apart. Like, I just totally nosedived. It was the color monorail question.
That one got me too.
And then I was done after that. Then I was disappointed in myself.
Sorry, I wasn't able to make it. What was the color monorail question? I just want to see if I might have known it.
He asked what 2 monorail colors were retired.
I want to say green, and I think purple.
I think it was teal and peach. Was it teal and peach? Yeah, I think it was teal and peach. But you're right. I mean, you're right there. It's
I knew it was something like that.
And it was multiple choice, so you probably would have been good.
Yeah.
Well, he also got me a couple times too, where it was
he tries to be sneaky.
Yeah, he was sneaky. So, and it's quick, right? So the faster you answer, the more points you get, right?
And that's the only reason I was beating Tom, is on the easy ones. I just have the video game finger that he does not have.
I do not. No, and so Trevor, where it got me one time is it asked what replaced the People Mover in Disneyland, and and I know that's what that's called, but he had it as rocket. He had 2 different rocket answers. And I chose the first one I saw, and it was immediately wrong. So, I was like, and I immediately was like, no, like I saw it immediately. So it was that kind of stuff. And then, there was some listening stuff where you had to like kind of sing songs in your head almost. So I don't know. It was tough. He had some tough questions in there.
Sounds fun. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, but I think we might have to start lobbying for, maybe a cartoon session.
He'll do it, man. He said he'd do it. So I'm sad. Our team came in I think we came in 4th or something like that. So,
I just feel like the problem would be is I'd want to do the questions and the answers for the cartoon one. You need somebody that knows cartoons to do it. You can't just randomly pick and choose, right? It's not, cartoons aren't like that. So that's the tough part of it.
Well, talk to Chad. He might let you be a guest writer. I know originally he had asked me to write questions,
but I want to play too. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, you can't do that.
That's what I mean. That's the tough part of it.
Can I tell you guys? You guys can make fun of me for this, maybe. I'm not sure, but I was. So I was watching. Did you guys watch? What is it? Prop Culture on Disney Plus? Did either one of you guys watch that?
No,
watched 1 episode of it so far.
Okay, well, so I really enjoyed it, and they had one where they were talking to, and gosh, I'm forgetting which Sherman brother it is that they had on there. I forget, but he was talking about writing "It's a Small World." I swear to you guys, I never knew this. I always took "it's a small world" meaning like, the way you say it to somebody else. You're like, oh, I guess it's a small world because I saw this random person and, at Disney or something, right? He was saying that it was written because it's a small world refers to children, and that it's small little people, children. It's a world full of children, small people. And I was like, wait a second. In my whole life, I thought it was just always meant that we're all similar, and it's you know what I'm saying here? This blew my mind.
I do, and I think I would agree with you. I think I was in that same mindset. So
okay, good. I'm not crazy then. Trevor, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I always thought it was taken with celebrating different cultures around the world, and yeah, showing all of our similarities. Which, yeah, the small world aspect, but the kids thing makes sense too.
It does.
Oh, it makes sense. I just would have never thought about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes sense though.
Yeah, I just never would have thought about it that way. And I saw that and I was like, wait a second. He's saying that "it's a small world" refers to just, everybody in this ride are kids. So it's just, that just kind of blew my mind. And I thought maybe I was in the minority on that. I thought maybe I never knew that, but I'm glad. Okay, I feel better now. You guys are making me feel a little bit better that you guys thought of it the same way. So anyway, that was random, but I was thinking of that being a good trivia question because I feel like that would fool like 99% of people. So
I wouldn't disagree there.
He had some tough ones in there. He had some pretty obscure stuff in there though. So it was interesting.
I'll have to try and catch the next one if
he rocks them two times a week or something, right?
I think they're Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah, I do see the posts come up on Facebook. It's just, like I said before, it's strange how being at home, you end up busier than when you have to go
Oh,
work.
my goodness. No, I mean, I laid down this whole weekend. All I did was do like pine straw and mulch and, stuff that I would have normally been like, I'm not doing that.
That's so true. By the way, guys, I don't know if you saw, but we now have 100 subscribers to our fledgling YouTube channel. So that's good news.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So now our YouTube channel is youtube.com/C/Welcome Home Podcast. So
what do you mean the letter C?
I don't know. They made me put that in there. I don't know why. It was part of you couldn't just do youtube.com/Welcome Home Podcast.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
I also, by the way,
yes, you can. Don't ever listen to Tom. It's just youtube.com/Welcome Home Podcast.
Okay, well,
please don't listen.
That's how it show. That's how it. If you go in the settings of our channel, it has the C in there. So I don't know. I didn't try youtube.com/Welcome Home Podcast. So I guess it's fine. I did notice when I searched for Welcome Home Podcast on YouTube that another Welcome Home came up that just published like a month ago. So I'm like, is there another Welcome Home Podcast, or is it the one that already existed? Now they're just getting onto YouTube. I don't know. I just need to copyright this name and then just start threatening to sue all these other Welcome Homes. That's really what we need to do.
It is something new.
It's a new one? So there's another Welcome Home? Come on.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the Welcome Home Podcast, not Welcome Home Podcast.
What is that?
Yeah.
All right. So, Damon, I apologize. YouTube.com/Welcome Home Podcast. I didn't even try it because it said on there that it was /C/Welcome Home Podcast. So, I did upload some videos from our Facebook page to the YouTube channel. So those are on there. So it's older videos, but there's a newer one of the last IllumiNations show. I did put that up there from when I did that when I was down there last year. So that's a newer video, but there's a couple different videos on there. Like I said, we're going to try to keep putting more stuff.
I'm just watching this other Welcome Home podcast now that has 7 subscribers.
Yeah, 7 subscribers. Yeah, well, they just started though, right? So
I guess. I don't know. They're very Zen-like.
Okay. Interesting. It is interesting that this name is used by many different places and different podcasts, and they all are different kinds of shows. Like none of them are the same, really, right?
Oh, you're talking about that other one, the Welcome Home Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about the one above that, which is just Welcome Home Podcast.
I don't even. I'm not even on YouTube right now. It seems like YouTube are just doing this.
Oh my goodness! There's another one called the Welcome Home Podcast. It's different than the other Welcome Home Podcast, and then another one, Welcome Home Podcast episode. Oh my goodness gracious!
Listen. At least we own the URL. Nobody else has the YouTube.com/Welcome Home Podcast. So at least we got that.
Well,
right?
because all they have is like 50 views and 2 subscribers. Yeah.
Not that we have that many more, but we're getting there. It takes time, right?
Yeah, our 100 pushed us over the top here.
It did. So we got that. That's good news. So the other thing I don't know if you guys want to talk about any other, randomness before we really get into what we have planned for today.
I always want to talk about randomness. I want to talk about
please.
my other podcast that I just recorded, which is why I'm tired already. So if I get a little more love on this other podcast, it's funny. I'm on one podcast. I forget the name of the other one. So the Boomtron podcast. Again, I said I would give away some pins. Someone took me up and liked the Boomtron podcast page because they're looking for the welcome home pin. So I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know what that says about our podcast, but it says something good about this podcast, I guess. So, yes, we're covering Netflix original shows, but what I'm looking for is for people to listen and to tell me what they don't like about it. Free reign to tell me what you hate about the other show. Not this show, because there's nothing to hate about what.
There's nothing to hate about what we do here. Everything's great. Everything's amazing.
Yes.
Unless we're doing a live show, and then people seem to hate that for some reason.
They don't like Jeffrey. They're mad about Jeffrey.
Some people like Jeffrey. There are people that like Jeffrey. There are others that are like, what's with the puppet? But I don't know how you don't like Jeffrey. I find Jeffrey funny.
Yes, I would agree.
Any nonsense you have to bring up, Trevor?
No, I can't top Jeffrey.
Yeah. We'll just need to get, I kind of want to get you on, Damon, but we like blur your face out. Like it's, it's like a cops or something. We're blurring your face out.
Protection program.
Yeah, exactly.
We could do that.
Yeah.
We could do that. Just blur your face out and, we could tease that you're going to come on the show finally, and then you come on and you're all blurred out. It'd be really fun. I think people would really be mad then. Then we get some really bad reviews.
We probably would.
We would. So I wanted to update everybody on my vacation plans, and then we're going to talk about all the news that came out over the past 2 weeks since we've been gone. Of course, there's been a ton of news. This is what happens when you do a podcast every 2 weeks, is there's a ton of things that happen in between your podcasts that everybody has been talking about for a while. But you know what? That just means that you guys get to, wait and speculate about what we're going to talk about and what our opinions are going to be, right? So I guess that makes it fun. But anyway, so I just had to cancel my October trip that I've talked about on the show. So as most of you know that listen to the show, I had canceled my April trip, obviously, because all the trips in April were canceled. Rescheduled it to the beginning of October. But unfortunately, because of everything that's going on, my wife is a teacher. I think I've talked about this on the show before, and she works typically on a year-round schedule. But because of everything that's going on, they had to change the schedule for next year to a traditional schedule for 1 year, basically. And so that pretty much eliminated that week of being off for my wife. So that basically required us to cancel our trip. I was thinking to myself, though, I was going to use my annual passes. And now instead of extending my annual pass, I believe I can get a refund for those 4 months that they were closed for that amount. So I might do that. I think that's the policy going around, right?
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, you probably want to look into that sooner than later, because I don't know what the window was on them. Like, I don't know if that's still ongoing or not.
That's a good question. You have to call, and I just have been like, I don't know if I really want to call the pass holder line right now.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Is it's like you want to change plans, you want to, even I guess canceling your trip. Like, I guess I'm curious how difficult that's going to be at this point.
Oh, so I already canceled it. I did it. I did it through the website. And so, but all the points did go back into the, to this use year, even the ones I borrowed. But then I chatted with somebody, which I only waited a minute to chat with somebody. And I said, hey, can my points get, unborrowed? And they were like, oh yeah, it's an automatic process. It'll take, 15 business days or whatever. It could take up to 15 business days. I was like, oh, okay. So I did it all online. I didn't have to call at all.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Which was really nice. I did have to do it last time because of how I had it booked. Like I had it booked on 2 separate contracts, and you can't do that one online because they were like linked. So they were linked reservations because they were under 2 separate reservation numbers. And in order to do that, I had to call. So I couldn't even do that over chat. They wouldn't do it over chat either. But no, it was pain free. I did it completely online, and it took a minute. It was real easy. So it's unfortunate, but
yeah. Well, so I guess to kind of dovetail onto that, I know so we have our trip in October as well, and we haven't officially canceled it yet, but it's really looking that way, which sucks, but not exactly the same situation as you, Tom, but, just kind of looking at, where everything is now, like with school and, businesses opening back up and everything is, I honestly don't know if October will even be a good time to go.
And that's the hard part, right? Is like there's just so much unknown. You just don't know what things are going to be like in October. I'm
in November and I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, so
I just feel like it's like it's a waste of money to go and not get into the parks or I don't even know.
Yeah, so actually, why don't we get into talking about the opening policies and everything here, because I think that's affecting a lot of my decisions around my trip, and I think it's the same way, Damon.
Yeah.
Sure. Can we talk DVC stuff real quick with around this?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we usually start with DVC stuff, so
then you shouldn't ask the question then about our trip.
All right, fine. We'll just get right into the reopening stuff. Okay. Go. Who wants to start with this? All right, I'll just do it.
There you go.
I was going to say that this is a long one.
All right, I'm going to try to hit the high points here. Okay, so because this is a lot of stuff going on, right? And I think everybody has seen this going through Facebook and seen all the news, but I'll try to hit all the high points here. Okay, so Disney received approval to open Walt Disney World, starting on Saturday, July 11th. That's going to be for Magic Kingdom and for Animal Kingdom. I should go back just for a second and note that the DVC resorts will be opening on June 22nd. So the DVC resorts at Disney World will be opening on June 22nd. The Hilton Head Island Resort and Vero Beach open on June 15th. And then after that, we have Epcot and Hollywood Studios will open on Wednesday, July 15th. So shortly after that, Epcot and Hollywood Studios will open. There will be apparently some previews before that for cast members, and they say Affinity, which I'm guessing means pass holder DVC. So there'll probably be some DVC previews as well as some pass holder previews before that. It's going to be a lot like Shanghai, essentially. So if you've been paying attention to what they're doing in Shanghai, very similar. There's going to be a new reservation system, which we had speculated about, and this is, note this is different from what Universal's doing, where they're not necessarily doing a reservation system, but Disney is doing that. So you are going to have to secure a reservation in advance with this new system, and they're still working on the details of that, I believe. But because the parks are going to be at limited capacity, I think everybody has heard all this stuff. There's the social distancing, the face masks will be enforced throughout the parks, temperature checks, required to access the parks, hand sanitizer will be available. There's also going to be relaxation zones, which is something we've also seen, Universal doing as well. Mobile food ordering is really going to be encouraged quite a lot, and cashless transactions are going to be encouraged, which is going to be great. You can just use your Magic Band for anybody staying at the resort, and that'll be easier for them. But there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Character meet and greets and play areas are temporarily closed. Parades, fireworks, other events are also temporarily suspended. The interesting thing, they are going to have one character restaurant open, and that's Topolino's Terrace at Riviera. Will have a character dining going on, modified, of course, but that will be going on. I'm guessing they're going to use that as kind of like a test, just to kind of see how that goes, and then see, open other ones slowly after that. That would be my guess. So we mentioned the reservation system. As of right now, all new ticket sales are paused, and Disney hotel reservations are also paused. So you can't actually book anything new. Now, DVC members can still make new reservations. That is the only thing that's different there, is DVC members can still do it. And existing ticket holders in AP will be able to make reservations before any new tickets are sold. So, and again, this is all very fluid. So there's going to be a lot more information coming soon about this. Essentially, there's going to be some different things here. We talked about mobile order. There's going to be arrival windows, so it's going to kind of tell you when to show up. You're gonna select a time when you're going to show up, and then a lot of people, if you've done ordering through an app, anytime, like I think Chick-fil-A does this, McDonald's does it. You order through the app, and then when you get there, you hit "I'm here," and then they start making it. It's the way that it works now with mobile ordering as well. So then a couple other things that is all of the different things that are going on there, but they also went forward and canceled all dining reservations, experiences, dining plans, and fast passes. All of that got canceled for everybody. I don't know if it was for the rest of the year. I think initially they said for the rest of the year, but I don't think that was the case. So I think it's, they're just, I understand why they had to do it, but I know that a lot of people are upset about this one. So I'm gonna get all this information out, and then we can talk about this, but because we'll just get all this out there and then we'll talk about it. And then, as far as restaurants go, there's going to be, the behind the scenes tours are going to be limited. Some restaurants may be closed. A lot of the dining reservations, since everything was canceled, they're moving everything from a 180-day booking window to a 60-day booking window for dining. So going forward, it's going to be 60 days. Obviously that's temporary. Fast Pass completely suspended, for the time being, as they get the queue space together to manage capacity and set up physical distancing. So they already automatically canceled all the Fast Pass selections, and then extra magic hours are also not going to be available either. And then we talked about the reservation system, so that's again still talking about it now. The interesting thing is here, this has come out just fairly recently here, is that there will be no park hopping allowed. So park hopping will be temporarily suspended as well. You can only request one park per day. Reservations are going to be made in My Disney Experience. And it should be noted too that resort guests are not going to be guaranteed to get a reservation. So that's going to be interesting how that goes. I don't know how they're going to do that, but should be very interesting. And I did... This mentions that reservations apply for all confirmed tickets through 2020. So I'm not actually sure what that sentence means. Trevor, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, yeah. So the confirmed tickets is basically, people that have already bought tickets and haven't refunded them. They're just trying to honor or make sure, those people get priority and they can get in, which was, sorry, that was a huge dump of information. Did you mention the fact that they had temporarily suspended purchasing new tickets there for a little while?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah. And the other thing a lot of people are upset about too is the dining plan. So a lot of people got free dining plans because of, the free dining plan offer, but then also they were offering the free dining plan to a lot of people who had their vacation canceled. So people are getting a refund essentially of the difference in the package price for removing the dining plan. So, and then people who got the free Disney dining plan package, they're essentially removing the dining plan and then giving them a 35% savings on the room. So that's something they're doing there too.
Which, when you look at the cost of those rooms, I mean, yeah,
you're coming out ahead, I think.
It's the same thing, really.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess the interesting thing about the dining plan is that that seems like an odd thing to cancel, but I guess maybe I'm not thinking through all the logistics of it, because, people are still going to be buying food, right? So what difference does it make if they have a dining plan or not, I guess is the question.
I'm thinking it's more of a capacity thing, that where they don't, if the more people they have on the dining plan, maybe those people are more likely to have sit down meals.
That's true. I guess, maybe you're right. Maybe that is another means of them ensuring that. I guess it gives them the option too, that if they need to limit capacity or tell people, sorry, you're not coming in, they can't use the dining plan as an excuse as to, I paid for this, you should let me in, or whatever. That's
another thing too, right? Because if they have to turn people away, then, somebody can't be like, well, I didn't get to use my dining plan because you didn't let me come into the restaurant. That I could see, that's a good point as well.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of information for sure.
Why don't we go back? I'm just looking at.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning. So particularly about the DVC rooms. It says here that people staying at their next villa stay will notice improved cleanliness and sanitation throughout the resort and the villas. I don't know what that means,
could be the stuff that they're using to clean with.
Yeah,
but and then maybe some extra cleaning on some outside areas.
being more detailed in their cleaning. I mean, you would just hope that it was always really good cleaning, right? Is that what you're saying, Trevor? Like,
I mean,
you would just hope that they always really really do a good job cleaning the room.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Windexing a mirror and antiviral Windexing a mirror, right? Like, there's just different stuff to use, I think, is my guess.
Yeah, the one thing that struck me too was that they said about, or where was it here? Oh shoot, I totally lost it. It was talking about the dinnerware and stuff that they provide in the resorts or in the rooms, which some of the places provide, paper plates and plastic.
Yeah, it just kind of depends. Yeah.
Like, are they going to swap those out between every stay? Like,
you think that would be an easy way to do it, right?
The boxes of plastic equipment and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe what they'll do is they'll just give you less of it, and then if you need more, you'll ask.
You have to call and get some.
I just find that the other thing that I don't necessarily care for is that, I'd rather get to a room and then not have anyone come into the room until after I'm leaving. And that's kind of been put to bed by these checks as well. Just, forget about just the...
You mean like the daily checks that they've had for a while now? Well, I mean, they haven't really stated whether they're going to continue doing those or not, though, I don't think.
I think you have to. I think you have to. But I just wonder how that's going to be different. But from the cleaning aspect, I'd rather they didn't do anything. Clean it really good the first time and then leave me alone. I wonder if that's the way to go, not just for DVC.
Well, for DVC wise, I mean, that's how it is anyway, right? We really only get trash and towel service, day 4, and then.
I mean, you still get a cleaning depending on how long you stay.
Yeah. Depending on how long you stay, yes, you can end up with a cleaning. Yes.
Well, what I'm saying is I'd forego any of that personally.
I mean, maybe that's an option. Maybe you can tell them not to come in at all. I would assume they would accommodate that.
Yeah, I wonder.
I honestly, same. We, for the amount that we stay, we never get the 4th day cleaning, but I wouldn't want, the bed turned down or any of that stuff either, kind of like what you're saying, Damon, leave me alone. Clean
don't
towels
make my
every
bed,
once in
don't
a
do
while.
anything.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to make this determination. I think that's kind of the next big step. Like I said, my wife is traveling for work, and she even said she's going to the airports, but she's like, I don't know if I really want to stay anywhere. And I'm like, holy crud, you're going out and masking it up to get on planes, and you don't want to stay anywhere yet. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough for us.
No, I get that. I did read that they're not going to require masks in the pools. Now, I don't have that on here, but I did read that.
Because they get wet and then you can't breathe as well.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that.
The problem with all of this is that, there's still this ability to walk out of your door and bump into somebody.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of the problem I'm having, because you can't, hey, next door guy, don't come out right now because our family's coming out, right? Give me a minute.
Yeah.
No matter how much they do with the queue lines and with the entrances, there's no way when people are walking down Main Street, everybody's just going to maintain a physical distance from each other. It's just not possible. I don't know how you could even do it. There's always going to be cases where you're walking by people and you're getting close to people when you don't want to. I see these things as doing the very best they can, right?
Of course. I mean, that's all you can expect them to do. It's
definitely not going to be perfect. Yeah.
No, and I think the big thing is that DVC has it a little bit different than regular cash buys. And I mean, since we're talking about DVC per se, it makes it difficult to make that decision, especially since they are making some accommodations for our points.
Do you find it interesting? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, do you find it interesting that the DVC resorts are opening a full couple weeks ahead of the parks?
No.
Because I saw some people why open the resorts and not the parks? And I know several people that do park only stays. I mean, resort only stays and never go to the park. So I could understand it. It makes sense to me.
Well, and that's what's kind of happening for me. I mean, if I go in November, I just don't. I mean, what do you even do? Do you buy tickets and hope you get in? It just seems crazy. It seems crazy for me right now. I mean, if I had a season pass, maybe, but I mean, I don't have tickets now. So what am I doing in November when I get there? I mean, am I going to be able to buy tickets? Am I going to be able to get in?
This was the discussion we had too, is, even if we kept our reservation, if we weren't able to get tickets, or if it didn't work out, or if it worked out that there was, even a couple of days in there, I don't want to say that, I could definitely spend a couple of days at the resort, but I also have a 12-year-old. Like, I'm fine just lounging around the resort, entertaining kids for that period of time. It doesn't work very well. And I don't feel that there's enough stuff. Not all of the resorts are set up to deal with that, right? It's
a cost-effective thing. I mean, from a DVC standpoint, we are in a different situation for us, right? We've already been. It's these points again, as people love to argue with me about, right? I don't care if I lose points, but these points are. Man, I've already paid off my DVC. I already, you know what I mean? Like, these are freebies for me. I know some people don't look at it that way, but that's kind of the way I look at it. But at the end of the day, if I can't do what I'm supposed to do when I'm down at Disney, why am I going? And forget if you were a new time DVC owner. It was nice, Tom, write that message. I was able to, some of my son's friends and our friends, are looking for DVC points and resale, right? I kind of sold them on that. But what if it's your first time? What if you were going to Disney for the first time because you're a new DVC person? Would you want to deal with all of this? Or what if you haven't been to Disney in 10 years? Now, that wouldn't necessarily be a DVC person, but now what does that mean?
Well, so I'll relate this back again to 2016 when, just after we started the podcast, right? I was getting ready for my first trip back to Disney, like you said, 10 years later. And we were coming right up to it, and the hurricane, Irma, hit. And we were kind of it was a similar boat. It wasn't quite as... or I guess it happened very quickly, so I didn't have the same amount of time to think about it. But I did get into that situation of, I just bought this, I really want to use these DVC points. I really want to go on this trip. But then you start thinking about, okay, in my case, I am literally debating taking my family into a hurricane. Like, when you step back and say that, it sounds crazy, right? And
and you have the added problem of being so far away too.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Is crossing into another country, all that. That there's a whole ton of risk there. That in retrospect, it's like, hands down, don't do that. And that's what we did. We canceled the trip and postponed it. But I mean, it's the same kind of thing right now. Is we're looking at it the same way. And like you said, Tom, we're even in the same position where right now travel is not open between Canada and the U.S. borders. They're not allowing for regular travel yet. So we're going, okay, well, hopefully it's open by October. There's no guarantees though, and then there's no guarantees that we'll be able to get park tickets. There's no guarantee. Like, it's a lot of
too much unknowns.
Yeah,
too many unknowns.
It's a lot of iffiness, right? So.
And what if you get into the parks anyway, and it's just, again, they're taking away things. I understand how people don't want to pay retail price for stuff that, isn't necessarily all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to your point, and I understand why they're doing all this, by the way. And this is not a criticism.
Of course.
Yeah, I totally get why character greetings are suspended and fireworks. And parades. Like, it totally makes sense. And it actually kind of makes sense to me why they're keeping ticket prices where they are as far as right now it goes, because they kind of don't want a ton of people coming.
I would agree with you. I think that this is a perfect way. But for me personally, it then is not efficient use of my money.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is, I was talking to my wife before her school schedule changed. I said, because she said, well, I don't really want to go to Disney with all this restrictions. And I said, maybe some of it'll change by then, but I understand that. And I said, why do you feel that way? And she goes, because it's just not the same. It doesn't, it's not the magic of Disney. You're missing out on all that. You don't have the character greetings. You don't have the parades. You don't have the fireworks. And that's all of it for us. And I get it.
And that's funny because it's not even that stuff doesn't really matter too much for me in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still, it's this this cost, of it is not small, even with DVC. I think, people, the one thing I would say is that a lot of people are not prepared for the proportionate pricing of tickets when you have DVC, because you're like, okay, I'm buying in a DVC, I'm good. Well, no, not really, right? Like, I mean, every time I go, it's still thousands and thousands of dollars of tickets and then thousands of dollars of food. So, you still have this cost. And so if you take that all in and say, all right, well, what does that actually mean? Well, and this is interesting. We moved into this house about a year ago. And I'm sure our neighbors are just thrilled as pie that we still have, paper blinds up, right? Those paper blinds.
I know what you're talking about.
We're not in the sort of neighborhood that should be the case. So what I've kind of done is, say, hey, we have that trip in November again. Even if we go in November, which I don't know if we will, it's going to depend on kind of how everything just shakes out. But even if we don't go in November, what the thing is that, okay, well, I'm not going to, even if I go in November, is that I don't know if I'm going to go to the parks, right? Especially because November feels cold, fluey season-ish regardless, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if I don't go to the parks and I just go there, gosh, you know how much money I can save? I could actually go and do like a real honest to goodness, quote unquote, free DVC stay. Right? Because, I'm paying for food regardless if I'm home or I'm not, right? I can do whatever I want there in terms of we have a car. We could drive out and go to, the grocery store. It doesn't matter. But, that would be an interesting kind of take on, what it means. Because money-wise, what we've been doing is back to my point, is that, we're getting blinds for the house instead of going to Disney. Because my tickets are going to cost as much as blinds are in my house. And those are things that we're doing so that next year when we go to Disney, next year we're going to Disneyland, it can be that same experience again. Because most people don't listen. While we're DVC members, we're also in the minority of people that travel to Disney in terms of going as often as we go. And this is the thing that people always get mad about when I'm like, well, what does it matter if I lose points, or what does it matter if I don't go this year? This is first world problem stuff. Like, we go to Disney a lot. You guys go to Disney a lot. Not everyone can do that. So,
this is true.
I get all of what everyone's saying, but for me, you know what? I'm going to take this year and maybe do some things around the house that cost a fair amount of money that I haven't been doing because I've been going to Disney. And if you're asking me, would I rather go to Disney or buy blinds? Of course, I'd rather go to Disney, right? That's not the question here. Of course, I'd rather spend time with my family at Disney because to us, that's the most precious thing, in terms of growing up that I think we've been able to share with our children is, Hilton Head and Disney. Those are the two big ones, right? Yeah. In terms of what we do. But, this year is different. And you're right. Maybe it gets tarnished a little bit, or, heaven forbid that you go down there and there's any sort of issue or a travel issue or this. I don't know. It's difficult, but.
And that was this trip was going to be, we were going to use our annual passes. And so it was really, we were just going to, all we'd be paying for is food and to get ourselves there. Right. So, and for the three of us, food is not a huge amount of money. Right. So, and that's what I kind of said to my wife before we changed the schedule. I was like, well, what if we just didn't go to the parks and we just did a resort stay? Just hung out at the resort. Cause we could hang out at the pool every day. My daughter likes the pool. She likes the animals. At some point we'd probably get, bored and want to do something else.
You're at that perfect age, Tom, where you can do that. Like I was saying, the problem is that as you kids get older, like my son is 12 now. Even on our last trip, we were like, let's go to the pool. And he was in there for about, 30, 40 minutes. And he was saying to me, I'm bored because, he doesn't have siblings to play with, unfortunately. So
sure,
it's very hard for him. Like he enjoys the idea of the pool and he likes going there. But then after that novelty wears off, it's like, what do you do? And his answer is, well, let's get out of the pool. Let's go back to a park or let's go somewhere else. Right. So, the resort stays are hard right now.
Well, and my big problem too, I completely forgot what I was just going to say. Besides the fact that so now I'm also bummed because this was going to be the last trip I could do without having to pay for my daughter. Next year when we go, I'm going to actually have to pay for her to go. So that stinks.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you going to do?
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I was enjoying not paying for her. It was nice to bring her for free.
Now, also, I wanted to circle back on what you were saying, David, about buying blinds. I'm actually kind of agreeing with you that, or well, we're not buying blinds, but the money that I would have spent on this trip, like we obviously, same thing. We're always saving up money for our future trips. And initially I said to my wife, I'm like, well, we could go next year and we could do more things than we had done previously. But then it was like, well, hold on a minute. Cause we still, like, Disney trips are still Disney trips. Like, we don't really need to do anything more than what we're already doing. And, if we postpone this trip until next year, we're actually thinking about, and again, this is very pie in the sky because nobody knows yet, but with the, how we talked about that, new resort in California possibly opening, or the new DVC. Yeah. So we may actually look at getting some points there so that we can get ourselves in a position, or so the points that we would have, or the money we would have spent here, we start saving that up towards our next DVC contract. And then we can get ourselves in a position where we can go to Disneyland and Disney World like every other year because we have contracts on both coasts.
Again, with my contract being paid off, I'm kind of thinking about my points as well and what I want to do. Our trip next year is supposedly Disneyland, but gosh, I would love to make a Disney World, Disneyland, do both at once, right? That sounds like a little bit crazy as well. But, here's another interesting take on it, especially for us in general. And Tom probably gonna have to edit this out because, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna take it a little close there. So look, by not going for a little bit while, right? You've kind of, this might be a good way to put it, made yourself pure again. Let's put it in a family sense, right? You're kind of gonna get to see the parks where you haven't seen them for a little bit of time, and also makes that a little bit newer, right? We're going so often that when we go, there's one or two things that we haven't seen before, and that's it, right? So you're going to do the same stuff you've done, which is fine because it's Disney, right? It's wonderful. That's not what I'm saying. But then you see, one or two things. Gosh, being able to kind of witness it where you go and you're like, oh man, there's like 10 things I haven't done before because I haven't been here in a while, right? And a while to us is 2 years, right? So having that 1 year gap where we don't go, it's interesting. It makes it a little bit fresh. It makes it a little bit new again. There's benefits, to looking at this if you want to look hard. Right? There's definitely people that are upset about it, and I get it. But look at the bright side of certain things, like Trevor said. Buy a new contract if you're a DVC person. If you can't do your trip this year, okay, well, buy a new contract. That contract doesn't mean you have to go more often. It just means that you can maybe upgrade the room that you have, right? That's not a bad thing if that's what you want to do. Or look at it like, well, hey, when I go, I'm going to be able to see 10 new things instead of 2. Or, there's a lot of ways to look at it that makes it a little bit nicer. Or maybe get blinds in your house, or, well, buy a new car. Think about this. Yeah. In reality, you could put a down payment on a car. There's a lot of good if, by kind of skipping a vacation. Now for us, we're going to be skipping all our vacations in the summer. We normally do 3. Oh, we can do a lot of things with that money. I think for us, we're buying a car for my son. We've decided. So, I'm sure he'll be quite happy about that, right? Like,
does he know about it? Is this like a surprise, or he doesn't?
No. So we're just buying. So we're buying. No, and they do not listen to the podcast. Only to mock me. Only to
mock you. Yes. Specifically. That's great.
Yeah. So, no, for us, we're just buying a third car. So he knows we're buying a third car, right? And there's only 2 of us. So who else is going to drive, right? he knows that car's for him. Now, it's not to say that we're going to buy him specifically a new car, but he could drive that car. We're a very drive whatever car is in the back sort of family. Don't necessarily, there's not like my wife's car or my car. We don't necessarily do that.
To your point, Damon, I said to my wife, well, next year's the 50th, right? So, and there's going to be a lot of new stuff open, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, already when we were going to go on this trip in April, there was like, we were going to do Topolino's, which is new. We were going to do Rise of the Resistance, which is new. We were going to hopefully do Space 220, which hopefully will eventually open someday. But those were 3 new things already that we were going to do. Think about all the things that are going to be open next year. If Tron opens back up if Tron is done by next year, as long as it's, not crazy delayed, Guardians is going to be open. The Ratatouille ride is going to be open. I mean, all this stuff could be open by next year. And you're talking about a ton of new stuff that you can check out. So to your point, Damon, yeah, it's kind of, a neat idea to just almost take a break for a year and then come back. And it's not like incremental stuff, right? Where it's like, oh, a new restaurant open, we'll check that out. It's like, no, there's a whole bunch of new stuff to see.
Again, if it wasn't a kid show, there's another way to put this, but yes, of course.
I know what you're saying. But that's the other thing though, too. My wife said, well, she's like, we're going to have like a ton of points next year, aren't we? I was like, yeah, we should totally like blow it out and do like a Grand Villa for a week.
That's what we were doing. We were blowing it out this time, which kind of stinks, but
that's what I'm saying. We'll do a big room. We'll, invite a bunch of people, have a big vacation. It'll be really cool next year.
The only thing is I'm a big, FOMO dude, right? So it's been tough when you think about it like that to kind of miss out on some of this stuff. I have to kind of pull myself back and say, okay, it's okay. But I'm sure that my friends are going to go in November. And that's going to be, I think, the hardest part, because they're on some like, again, big thing for me is my parents live with us, right? My kids are, a little bit younger. It's just, they're to the two of them and their daughter's 16 and no one lives with them. And, it's a little bit easier for them to kind of do what they need to do. So the problem that I have is if they go and I don't, that's going to hurt me worse than new rides opening. Like new rides hurt me when they open and I can't go, but I've kind of gotten past that. But, the fact that they'll go, plus I enjoy the time with them. It's the one time a year because they're still up north and we're down south now, that I see them. So that's going to be what's tough for me.
I get that. Trevor, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No. I was just, it's funny. I'm kind of in that situation, Damon, like your friends where it's just the three of us, but you're right. Is like the last trip I took was with my parents and I was more interested in watching their reactions to things than actually what we were doing. And this next trip was going to be the same kind of thing where, we were taking my son's friend. And same idea, I was excited that, hey, my son's friend hasn't really been to Disney. It just worked out that his family was going to let us take him. And I mean, yeah, it bums me out that like all the ideas I had planned in my head that, my son and his friend were just going to have this amazing time have all been blown out of the water. But, I guess the hope is we can reset next year and, maybe do bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that's the way to look at it, right? So, yeah, it definitely stinks. Looking at all this stuff, I don't see anything in all the things that were announced. Nothing in here surprises me. In fact, I think we actually predicted a lot of this, right? I think when we kind of speculated on this was a lot of stuff that we assumed was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean the increased contactless payment options and mobile ordering. I mean, you're right. Those are all pretty obvious givens for how they would handle things opening up. I'll just go on record as saying I'm annoyed about the mobile ordering because I felt like that was my own, that
was your
like
little secret.
That was like the secret, fast pass line for when you were getting your lunch because nobody else was using it. So,
well, I'm hoping they fix the discount problem with that too, because right now you can't get your DVC discount using that. So I'm assuming that they would do it, but I don't know. But let's hope they fix that. I guess my question is, are you guys surprised that I know a lot of people are mad about them canceling all the dining reservations, all the fast passes, all that stuff. I'm not in any way shocked because they essentially had to. I don't think there was any choice here. I completely expected this to happen. I get why people are mad though. When I started getting all the cancellations for all the things I booked, it was a bummer. I had booked all these things and spent some time doing it, and it was not fun to see the cancellations. But I also get it. And not for a second did I think that this wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it's. I guess the way I look at it is, they needed to reset, right? Like when you think about how all of this played out, everything shut down, everything was off for such a long time. You can't just open up parks and just say, oh yeah, day one, everything is running again. Even like, people asking the question about why open the DVC resorts before Magic Kingdom in July. Well, similar ideas, you can't just open up a resort and a theme park the same day and hope that everything is going to work. I'm fully expecting that in the next month here, I've been watching stuff at Universal and seeing how they've been behaving with, or how people have been behaving with the new rules and everything, for the first little while, it's going to be, everyone's going to follow it and it's going to be okay. But then you're going to start having those edge cases where, somebody does something that they weren't supposed to, or any number of reasons why, people didn't follow proper social distancing, or, they forgot to wipe something down, or this or that. And I mean, I see why Disney is being cautious here. I see why they're not going to say, yeah, we're going to guarantee a reservation, because that's just going to blow up in their face. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm kind of waiting for this whole Universal opening to blow up a little
in their
bit.
face.
I
saw some
know,
pretty negative stuff out there.
So someone's going to get mad at me for saying that. And it's not that, I want Universal to fail, not by any means, but I just, I don't.
They seem like they rush things a little bit. I also saw I saw a lot of stuff over since they opened, of their technology essentially just failing. Because basically they're not letting anybody get into line. Everything's a virtual queue. And then people were, I guess, using the app and finding that things were available for a virtual queue, and then there was nothing available. So people were saying they were going, but not able to ride anything because the technology was just not working correctly. And I also saw some people talking about how it took them like 2 hours to get lunch because the mobile ordering system. Now, I do think that Disney has a distinct advantage here, because they've been doing these things for a while, right? They've already been running a virtual queue in other places and at Disney World. They've been doing mobile ordering for a couple of years now. They've been doing the contactless payments pretty frequently for a couple of years now. So I do think they have a leg up here. But it's funny to me too when I see people like, well, why did Universal open a month ahead of Disney? It's like, Disney's a city, man. It's a city unto itself. I mean, not that Universal isn't large, it is, but you're talking about the single largest, the largest single site employer in the United States is Disney World, right? You got a training to do. You got to bring people back in. You got to get that training done. You got to, clean everything up, get everything back to get, start it up again, the maintenance. There's so much that needs to be done to get this done. You just can't open it next week. It takes time. And Disney's also just a little more cautious. They're a little more sensitive to these things, I think. So, I think all of it makes sense. I don't think I see anything in here that's particularly egregious. And like I said, I understand why people are mad about everything getting canceled, but I also don't know how they would have done it otherwise. I just don't know how they would have done what they need to do without canceling everything, because how else could they limit the amount of people in the restaurants without canceling all the dining reservations? They can't do that.
No, I think it was smart for what they did. I mean, people are going to be upset in general. I mean, and I get it. I get why you're upset, but absolutely right. I mean, Disney had to do what they needed to do to run the business. At the end of the day, people don't realize if the business doesn't run, there's no Disney for you to go to anymore. What does it matter what you think now? Right? Like, This is a very small point in time. Yep. I'll kind of, go back, like if people had a bad high school experience, when you look back on it, when you get older, like, yeah, it was horrible, but it was a small point in time. And gosh, it's, you want Disney to be around forever. You don't want them to do something so then they're not around just because you want it to go early or have your dining reservation or do this. Everyone, it is so horrible to even have to put it this way, but everyone has to make some, I'm going to quote, Disney sacrifices to make sure the longevity of Disney stays what it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's just some knowledge for everyone.
I totally agree. And, it's, I sorry, Trevor. Did I interrupt you? I didn't.
Nope. Finish your thought.
Okay. No, I totally agree, Damon. It's like you said, this is a moment in time, and hopefully we'll be able to, move on from this, and hopefully next year's a great year with, all the celebrations going on and things get, back to normal. And, hopefully we can just kind of, get back to the things we love about Disney. Right. So.
Yep. And to put it in perspective, again, kind of like what Damon was saying, like when I was growing up, we got to go to Disney, once every 5 years because my family situation and, us traveling from Canada, we could only really get down there once every 5 years. From the last time I went to Disney World till when I got DVC, that was a 10-year gap. And we survived. Like, I guess, yeah, to put it in perspective, there's lots of people out there that don't go to Disney, even every year or even every other year. So, and I'm not discounting the fact that, we're all annoyed. We're all upset about the fact that things got disrupted here, but it is 1 year. And, this is one totally abnormal situation that nobody's ever seen before. So I guess my hope is that, when we come out the other side of this, people are, I would rather Disney,
more appreciative.
Yeah. I hope that
you're expecting a lot from humanity, my friend.
I know, but I'm going to be the optimistic one here. And, I seriously hope that, by the time we get back that, things are closer to what normal was before. But even if they aren't, I think we'll be, a year from now, we'll be in a far better position to assess how to do a trip like going to Disney. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Tom, an ad?
Yeah, we do need to do an ad. So I will go ahead and read an ad here for our friends over at DVC Rental Store. Are you a frequent Disney visitor and want to save hundreds, even thousands on your next Disney trip? The DVC Rental Store wants to help you book your dream vacation for less. DVC members, it's great news for you too. Want to rent your points for some quick cash? DVC Rental Store wants to work with you, and they're currently renting out points at a record pace. For years, the DVC Rental Store has been helping guests stay at Disney Deluxe resorts at an affordable price, while also paying members the highest price for their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 1-855-382-7368. Of course, as always, let them know that Welcome Home sent you. Again, that's dvcrentalstore.com or 1-855-DVC-RENT. So, DVC members, you got some extra points that you want to rent out this year. Definitely check them out. And of course, if you're planning on taking a trip this year, maybe you want to rent some DVC points to check out a DVC resort, dvcrentalstore.com. Check them out.
I think Tom put a little extra in this one.
I just got energy tonight, man. I don't know what it is. I think I'm just.
I think it's also great if you're a DVC member and you're going with friends.
Oh yeah,
right?
True.
To use those to get them to rent the points, and then you can kind of stay in the same areas. So
that's something I think I talked about on the show that we had looked at when my in-laws were going to come. We were looking for them to rent a room at Saratoga where we were going to stay. So yeah, it's great for that too. That's a great point, Damon. So. Yeah, so there's that. I also just wanted to say too quickly, I understand this has been, I think, tough for all of us in general. Everybody listens to the show that goes to Disney as often as we do, because Disney's our outlet, right? Disney's our getaway. It's a place where you go away from the real world, and when that place doesn't exist where you can go, I mean, obviously it still exists, but you can't go there and you can't have that outlet. It's hard. It makes it hard. And it definitely is frustrating a lot of people and upsetting a lot of people. And, I think we've talked about this before. Things will get back to normal and we'll all get back to that place again. And I know it's frustrating now, but we'll get back there. So, I appreciate, by the way, all the positivity of our listeners and how cool everybody's been. I've seen so many, honestly, I've taken a social media break because a lot of these groups have gotten out of control, and our group's still not out of control, still awesome. Everyone's still cool.
I haven't been able to post as much. It's kind of been a little bit of a lull. I think we'll get back there as things start to open up and people have things to report in and information comes in. We are, while we're not necessarily a news podcast per se, right? We rely on the news to talk. So I think that as things start to pick up, we'll definitely have a lot more to say.
Yeah, I agree. I like I said, I really think this next month we're gonna see a lot of things happen, and there's gonna be a lot to talk about, and I hope it's all good. Yeah,
I mean, like Spaceship Earth. Because I don't even want to talk about Shanghai Disney. I want to talk about Spaceship Earth.
Can we quickly talk though? No. You said we're not a news podcast, but hey, good news. Construction has started back on Cinderella Castle and also on Tron. All right. There you go. Yes. That's good news. Yeah. Right.
I am 100% behind Tron.
Oh, me too. I'm definitely behind.
It's right before my ad here, but yeah. So it looks like that.
I wouldn't have skipped over that. My apologies. I was going to skip over the Shanghai Disneyland.
Well, so I think it's only interesting in the application of what it could be for Disney World. But let's talk really quickly here. So the castle makeover project, they've started construction again, which I think is great because hopefully they're done by the time the park reopens, and then there's none of those cranes or anything in your picture.
I doubt that.
Well, no, it was always going to be a pretty quick project, and if they don't have any guests there, I'm assuming they can get it done faster. I would think.
Did they ever not have cranes by the castle though?
Yeah, it's true.
I've got lots of pictures without the cranes. Okay,
I'm just more interested in Tron.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they were ahead of schedule when they shut down construction, and maybe they can finish this on time. But
I wonder, is Tron? Well, Tom's not going to go on Tron, right, Tom?
Probably not. I've watched videos of it though. It looks pretty cool. I really want to.
as I get older, I need to go on more rides before I don't want to go on rides anymore.
Before it's too hard when you get off of it, like you're not feeling well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it looks really awesome. I mean, all the videos I've seen of it look very cool. So I'm excited for that whole area. Even if I can just hang out under that cool lit up canopy at night, that would be cool. Assuming they're doing that. I've seen in the plans that they're doing it, but who knows? It could get cut or something.
True.
But so that's good news. So that's hopefully by the time people get back to the park. And now I haven't seen anything about any of the other construction projects like the Epcot stuff and any of that. But Damon, the reason I put the Shanghai Disneyland thing in here is because they're debuting the virtual queue system.
Okay.
That we're talking about here. So it's the trial of the new virtual queue system that they're going to do at their park. Now, here's the interesting thing that I'm wondering.
Is this interesting, Tom?
It is.
Okay. Tell me why it's interesting.
Because I've seen some blogs speculate on this, and I don't necessarily believe it, but some people think that Disney's going to scrap the whole FastPass system after this and just go to Max Pass or go to a paid system, or do what Universal does and do all virtual queues.
If you give me a paid system, I'm interested again.
That's what we're talking about here. The possibility of that. I've seen a lot of people speculating on it because we're now at the point where Disney World, I believe, is the only Disney park that doesn't have some sort of paid FastPass tier. So yeah, I mean, it feels like an eventual. It's eventually going to happen, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah,
I know. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm so on the fence with this.
I understand your trepidation here. I feel similarly.
Yeah, part of me, I totally agree with you, Damon, that the Max Pass system definitely lends itself to, I guess, more control and potentially a better all-around experience. But I guess it also does mean that, we don't have to do the 60-day booking windows, which, for the sake of being a DVC owner and having potentially more spontaneity, although that doesn't work out in my case, I can see where this would be good because it means that, you can get some of those high ticket attractions or those e-ticket attractions without too much, or without the stress, I guess, that the 60-day window comes with. But at the same time, I like the existing FastPass system because it was almost like a game in and of itself. And maybe that's not the right reason to like it.
No, Trevor, I don't disagree with you because there is a certain amount of fun to doing it. Now, not everybody feels that way. Some people that like to plan love the FastPass system because they like to plan these things out ahead of time. There are people that don't like to plan, though, that absolutely hate that they have to plan things out 60 days ahead of time. So I get it. I totally am with you. I like it. I think it's part of the fun. But I get why not everybody does.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I interrupt your thought?
No, and I was waiting for Damon
to come in
to say something.
That's why we're both wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of stopped paying attention for a second. What are you both wrong about?
This is something you've been asking about for years now. That you want.
Well, I've already said my point.
Yeah.
I want it, right? I want to pay my extra money. I want to get it, and I don't really care what you guys have to say.
Now, by the way, this is not the paid FastPass system that we're talking about here. This is the virtual queue system. So this is eliminating the standby line of one particular ride and only have it be a virtual queue, similar to how they do Rise of the Resistance currently at both the Disney parks, where you check in and then it also says it works similar to MaxPass at Disneyland or the digital FastPass service at Tokyo Disney. So I was just bringing up, I've read a couple blogs that are speculating that Disney might just scrap FastPass Plus after this, and this might be part of it.
I guess so. Okay, so I guess there's two different things here. There's the MaxPass and the virtual queue system. The MaxPass I am on board with, but I guess my only comment on the virtual queue system is that, for those of us that are equipped to deal with it, like being that it's different. It's a different step. It's a different way of doing things. I don't see it'll be a problem for myself or my family, but people who don't pay attention to how this stuff works, I can see it being a very negative experience. So
the virtual queue piece or the MaxPass piece?
The virtual queue piece.
Well, we already saw how people got mad about the virtual queue for Rise of the Resistance, right? So
yeah, but I mean, that was also a new attraction. Like if they retrofit it to existing attractions, like, people that, like, I guess I'm thinking of it from the standpoint of, somebody who either hasn't been to Disney period or hasn't been to Disney in, 5 or 10 years is going, oh, let's go on Haunted Mansion. And then they get up there and what do you mean I got to scan this card? This is stupid, right? Like, I can see where if they don't be careful with, like, I know the speculation is, hey, let's scrap everything. And, this is the opportunity to basically rebuild the whole queue system and make everything, new and advanced and everything. I don't think it's going to go swing as hard as people think it is, because I believe that will bite Disney in the butt.
I 100% agree with you. I do not think that they are ready to get rid of the FastPass system as designed in Disney World yet. I just don't think they are. They spent billions of dollars on it. I just don't think that they're there. They might someday, and they might make little tweaks to it. I just don't see them overhauling completely. Now, there's an argument on the other side where you talk about the guy that ushered in MaxPass to Disneyland is now head of all parks and resorts. So, you could see that becoming a thing, right? But
and again, the MaxPass portion, I don't disagree with that, and I can see that happening. But I'm particularly focusing on the virtual queue part of it, which I think they're going to have to be very careful with how they implement that, because a lot of people, those of us who are diehard Disney will be on board with it regardless of what they do. But I think there's a lot of people that go to Disney that, and again, in the wake of everything that's been happening, just getting back to trying to figure out Disney, and then, Disney adding new systems on top of,
new complications.
New rules and everything. I
think the virtual queue thing will be temporary. I think that they're going to do it as a temporary thing for right now, and then we will eventually get back to regular standby queues. Don't forget that lines are people eaters, right? People standing in line for an hour are all those people not walking around the parks and clogging up other, rides or clogging up walkways and stuff like that. So on one hand, it could be good for Disney, because then, theoretically, I guess you have more people, giving people more time to go and buy stuff, right? But at the same time, they also, kind of like the fact that there's people that are stuck in a line and not, walking around the parks, clogging everything up and making everything feel crowded. I just don't think it's a permanent thing, and I don't know if it's completely feasible when they're at full capacity. Now, I could be totally wrong. I know that I think Universal does a lot of their queues these days as virtual. So I don't know, maybe that's working out well. I don't follow a lot of Universal stuff, I'm not gonna lie, so I couldn't really tell you. But I do think it's interesting. I just don't know if it's really going to be a permanent thing, or they're really just trying it as a trial. So
let's have this conversation again in 3 months.
That's the thing. 3 months ago, I mean, everything was different. Now, 3 months from now, everything's going to be different again.
Exactly.
So it's 3 months feels like an eternity ago, So we'll have to see what happens in a couple months from now. We have no idea. So, Well, so Damon, you wanted to talk about Spaceship Earth, which is shocking to me.
I mean, talk about it or just be intrigued by it.
You're
more
intrigued?
so than Shanghai Disney stuff.
All right. Well, so you're more intrigued by this than
I'm intrigued that it's not happening.
You by not happening, you mean the refurbishment is not happening as of right now, that it's just postponed?
Yeah, but you know what that means.
That they're canceling it?
It's going to be a while.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Not that I think that it's canceled. It's just going to be a while.
Because they were...
I was excited about that, too.
The thinking was for the 50th, right? Like, they were...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Epcot's... Yeah, so I think they wanted to have it done by 2022, I think was the talk for that one.
Oh,
but
okay.
There was a thing where they were... Because that was going to... There's no way it was going to be done by next year. It's like a major overhaul of much of the ride. So... there was a lot of talk too that I read somewhere that Disney canceled about $900 million worth of projects, canceled or put on hold because of what's going on. Obviously, they're losing billions of dollars worth of parks being closed. So they put on, they have to make some budget cuts somewhere, and this is probably one of them. So, but I also see it too as they want to have their flagship ride, the ride that when you walk in the park, open when people come to the parks again, right? I think it's partly because of budget, but I also think it's partly because they know it's an attraction that they'd like to have open when they reopen.
Well, and further to that, like they pretty much demoed all of Innovations at this point, right? So, yeah, walking into Epcot, you have, sorry, closed for refurbishment, and then the surrounding buildings all either gone or in a state of demo. Yeah, that probably doesn't look good.
It's a lot for sure. I mean, it was going to be that way anyway, right? But
yeah, I mean the buildings are done, right? We already know that, but the Spaceship Earth thing, you're right. It just makes sense that they would look at it for this reopening and go, well, we're pushing this off anyway, so what's the harm in having the ride open for an extended period while we reset and figure out when we're going to do this?
Yeah, and maybe they have to pare the project back a little bit. I mean, maybe they're going to have to make some changes to what they're doing. I don't know. It's certainly possible that they'll have to. It won't be the first time a budget's been cut on a ride, and they have to take some things out, right? So it's possible that they're working on that too. But now it's worth noting that it's currently listed on My Disney Experience as being closed for refurbishment. But this is some information, so I'm going to mark this as a rumor for now because I don't want to. We don't have confirmation from Disney on this. This is, information that came out through one of the unions that represents Disney's workers. So it's definitely a rumor. So we'll have to see. What's that?
So that's fair.
Yeah, I don't like reporting things on here as fact when they're really not yet. I don't think anything's really a fact until Disney says this is a fact, right? So. But I understand it. It makes sense. I don't know what other stuff they've canceled. Obviously, I think the Epcot stuff has to go forward at this point. They demolished everything, so they have to do something there. They can't just leave it the way it is.
Well, I guess the thing to keep in mind is, when people get going back into the parks, it is going to be that way for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sure people are going, and Damon, you may not like this, but people are going to say bad things about Epcot for the next little while here.
It's true.
It doesn't matter what other people say. I love Epcot.
Well, that's the question, too. Is Food and Wine going to happen this year? We have no idea. I don't know.
I'm saying no right now.
That would
Just
be my
a
guess,
prediction.
too.
I can't see them wanting to put on something like that when they don't even know. I mean, if another wave comes up with the virus, they're going to have to cancel it anyway. So I feel like it's a little bit too high risk at this point.
I just want to know when Space 220 is going to open. So
yeah,
that's the only.
I honestly, I had almost completely forgotten about Space 220, and when I did my dining reservations, I was so like that was at the top of my list, and of course it wasn't on there, and so I booked other places, but yeah, it's funny how like you said 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's all we were talking about.
Yeah.
Is when is Space 220 going to open, right? That's like,
wow.
That was our big topic, is when is that restaurant going to open? Is it going to open in time for Tom to go to it? But now it's like completely been forgotten with everything else going on. By the way, I don't have this on here, but how do you guys feel about the fact, and listen, there's nothing they can do about this, but I don't know if you guys saw this, but they're saying when Epcot reopens, it will not have the cultural representatives in the countries in the World Showcase, meaning, normally you go to Canada, there's all Canadian people working the Canadian pavilion, or, you go to, Japan, and there's all Japanese people working there. That's not going to be the case. That hurts a little bit.
Yeah, that hurts.
It does take some of the authenticity out of the World Showcase, I guess, right? I mean, I don't know what else they can do. I get it, but
yeah, I mean, because I think the hard part is because they said that I don't know if it was that all of those people got properly laid off or just furloughed. I'm sorry, I can't remember how that went when they.
I think they basically had to send everybody home. I think it's because those people are. I don't want to say they're students. They're not really students, but they're kind of like not part-time workers, but they're only here for a couple months and then they leave.
Yeah, it's like a special agreement. So yeah, I'm guessing it'll be a little while before they can get that stood up again properly. So
from what I've seen, they are taking applications for 2021. So probably people starting in January that are from the cultural program. So yeah, so it's going to be a while before we have the cultural representatives back in the World Showcase. But I mean, it makes sense logistically. Like you said, the borders haven't been opened back up. Like they couldn't even hire people from Canada if they wanted to at this point because they can't travel here. So
technically they could if it was business because they're still allowing some of that stuff. But
that's true.
I don't know how easily you'd be able to convince border that, I'm going to work at Disney World, and I don't know how much they would care about what you're saying.
I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I do think it takes something away from it. But again, it's if you're willing to go to Disney during this time, you're just going to have to expect that there are going to be some things that are not the same, that are different, that are not what you're used to, right?
Expect a minimalist experience.
Yeah, that's very true. One thing, it's interesting. I haven't seen anything about the Skyliner opening back up. I've seen that they're going to have buses but it's going to be limited. And then, they're still going to have the monorails and everything. But I've seen nothing about the Skyliner. I'm almost wondering if it's not going to open with the parks.
Hold on. I thought that the buses weren't opening. Or did they change that?
I think they clarified that they would be open. I thought that's what I saw. But, I mean, how else are people going to get to places?
Rent a car, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. I'd have to look. I didn't see that one anywhere. So.
Yeah, Yeah. I wasn't even really thinking about transportation. That makes things a lot harder too.
I did see Magical Express will be resuming, so they will have Magical Express.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's from the airport, but just the regular buses and I guess things. Oh man. Forgot about minivans, forgot about the monorail. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of things to think about. That's when we talk about the difference between Universal and Disney, that's a big difference. There's so many. There's boats, there's buses, there's the monorail, there's the Skyliner. There's all these different modes of transportation that they have to think of too. There's just a lot more complexity to things.
Yeah.
All right, so the next topic here is going to make Trevor not want to talk, and Damon to bring Damon back in. I just want to do a follow-up, because we talked about this, I think, last episode, right? I think we did. About the NBA and Disney talking about finishing the NBA season at Disney World. I think that was last episode.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about it.
I think you jumped in there at one point. Yeah, no, it definitely was because Chad was here. So that actually is going to happen. That's been approved and that's happening. Damon, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
All right. So that's approved and it's going to happen. Apparently it's going to happen at Coronado, which is what we speculated on. And, this article mentioned with no conventions taking place at the resort, the space would be best to accommodate the players because, usually conventions are taking up a lot of Coronado, but there's no conventions. So that's interesting. But I just wanted to do a follow-up that, this is definitely happening. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts on this, but...
I did see a side note to this that I guess they clarified that the NBA players wouldn't be allowed to go and visit the parks while they're finishing up the season. Which
the players and their families are not allowed to go to the parks.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
I don't understand why not. Why can't the family go to the parks?
Well, and I read too that they're going to be testing them every single night too.
Every day, yeah. I mean, I get that part, but why can't they go to the park?
Because the parks, even for all the restrictions, will be a pretty increased chance of exposing them to something, and then they bring it back to their family, and it just spreads, right?
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
So this other thing I have on here too, I've got a couple more topics, and then we can get out of here. But so I saw this and I thought it was kind of funny. One of the pyrotechnic barges from IllumiNations is for sale right now, and my question is, who's going to buy that? Like, who's buying that?
What would you do with a pyrotechnics barge?
Shoot fireworks from it, I guess. From your lake.
My non-existent lake. Okay.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, have the best fireworks show ever on your private lake at your house.
Well,
you know?
I guess to qualify, it's not like it comes with the fireworks. Like you would still have to figure out fireworks for that thing.
Yeah, that's true. I would love to know how much it's going for. I actually, my friend recently had sent me an auction for some original concept art that was done by Mary Blair, and there were some other ones by some other famous Imagineers, and they were in an auction, and I was like, oh man, I would love to have like a cool original, and not like a reprint, like an original like hand painted thing from Mary Blair. And I was like, that would be super cool to have. I also don't have the money to spend on what is eventually going to be very expensive, I'm assuming.
So that's a very different class of items we're talking about here, though.
I mean, how much do you think this is going to go for, though? This is probably going to be, you know.
But a piece of artwork, though, like you said, you know, that's something that I would, you know, put on display. I would, you know, have in my place. Damon is furiously Google
looking stuff up. Yeah, I am.
What are you looking up?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would.
But a barge is just like, it's not like it's like, you know, artwork or like, unless you knew exactly what it was, it's like there's a big boat thing sitting in your backyard with some cannons on it.
It does feel incredibly impractical.
Yeah, I feel like whoever would buy it would, buy it entirely for the novelty, but it wouldn't be on the same level as like, you know, getting anything else from Disney.
I agree with you. I think this is a fairly impractical purchase. I feel like somebody's going to purchase it for like commercial usage, right? Like, and I still don't even know what you would use it for. Like, I guess my dad lives on a lake, and on the 4th of July, they do fireworks over the lake, and they usually shoot them off from one of the islands on the lake. Maybe they could use this instead. I don't know. Maybe that's a use for it. I have no idea. But I just thought this was interesting.
I feel like whoever buys this thing is probably going to tear it apart.
Just for like pieces, just for parts. You're probably right. It's worth noting, by the way, for you know, those wondering, it's not the big barge that had like the world on it. That's not the one we're talking about. We're talking about one of the little mini ones that, like, you know, shot off some like random fireworks and other effects. Like, so it's not the big giant one that was in the middle. So make that clear. Oh, by the way, not to go back a little bit, but I saw this article, like, this just came out today. And I forgot to add it in here, or today or yesterday. Did you guys see that the resorts are going to have a virtual chat service for guest services for the resorts when they reopen? So you're going to be able to chat with somebody so you don't have to go to the lobby or stand in line. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. I don't know how that would be any different from like
calling down to the desk. You know, just a lazier way to do it.
But then, I guess you got to do it through the My Disney Experience app.
It's through the app, yeah. It's through the app.
Okay, well,
yeah,
interesting.
Maybe I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't really even think about that in that way. I just thought it was interesting that they were going to have a virtual chat of some sort. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's neat. Except that every time I've ever had to go to front desk, it's because I have something like I'm picking up magic bands or.
Yeah,
I have something specific to talk about that, I don't know. I feel not everything can be solved with a chat or even a phone call necessarily.
Well, that's the only time I've ever been ever really gone to the desk is when I had like Magic Band issues or needed to like set up a credit card on somebody else's bands that was in my room, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the only time that I've ever really gone to the desk for anything. So it feels like it's hard to do that over virtual chat. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I forgot to mention it before. All right. So let's talk about this last thing because maybe Damon's interested in this one because it's Star Wars Hotel oriented. All right.
I don't know. Am I?
You're just tired of talking. You've just been.
I really am.
Damon's out of steam. That's fair.
Yeah, I think I've had to put myself on mute like 5 times just to yawn. So
and you're bored with us.
No. It has nothing to do with that. Like I said, we laid 15 yards of mulch and like 200 bales of pine straw this weekend. I'm beat. I'm calling it a day.
Well, I think we've been wondering. We talked about this a while ago. They're going to have this on the and we haven't really heard any news about the Starcruiser being delayed or anything. It seems like that's still happening. But there
better be a darn vaccine before that thing gets out because I want to go on that really bad.
Yeah. Well, and now I was wondering. I think we had kind of talked about like how are they going to do this Lightsaber Dojo thing, right? We were wondering how they were going to pull it off. Mm. And it kind of seems
it wasn't
like
keeping me up at night, but we did talk about it.
Well, now we kind of have the answer, and this is it's
an iPhone hilt.
What do you mean it's an iPhone hilt?
It's an iPhone hilt.
They're gonna have why? Because there's like accelerometers and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm thinking two more. I guess I always wondered how they were going to simulate the shots coming towards you. And because in the concept art, they don't show the person wearing a helmet or anything, but it seems like this patent is talking about a helmet. So like you have to wear like a VR kind of helmet.
I feel like I can do this right now if I go one room over and put on my headset, my Oculus.
Yeah, but you won't have VR goggles that look like the blast helmet from...
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'd have to cosplay up my Oculus headset.
Exactly.
I mean, you could do that. You could do that. Well, and you also, you're not going to have the hilt with the accelerometer in it and everything.
What do you think an Oculus has?
It's not an actual lightsaber though.
It looks like that when you're in VR.
Exactly, and it feels real comfortable in your hand.
All right, fair enough.
see, this has always been my problem. This is exactly why I don't like this stupid Pandora ride. Like, I could do that one room over. It just doesn't, I don't know. This is not anything that's exciting for me. You woke me up for no reason.
I'm pretty psyched about this. I think it looks really cool, and I have no idea if I'm gonna at any point even get to the Star Wars Hotel. So, but I do find this pretty neat, and I wonder how things work all the time. I think Trevor, you're in the same place as me, where you wonder how these things are going to function, right? So, yeah, I find stuff like this fascinating.
And I guess this is just one patent. I'm still under the impression that this experience will be more than just that one thing. I mean. Disney, I don't feel Disney ever would settle for, we've got VR goggles and, a lightsaber hilt, we're good, let's go. Right. Like I feel there will be something next level, whether it be, like a haptic feedback of some sort or something.
Because that doesn't exist, right?
I know, but it's a matter.
You mean like Pandora?
Things, right?
Yeah.
You mean like Pandora, right? It's just kind of spritzed some water in your face and made some smells and everyone says it was the best thing since sliced bread, right?
I was talking more about like actually feeling like the blaster hits through a force feedback vest or something like that.
I mean, you did the Void, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they did pretty good at that, but that also wasn't Disney per se.
And I feel like for Disney, they try to make it a little safer. Like, I want, give me something that if I get hit, like, I fall over. Like, I'm signed up for that.
You want something where you have to sign a waiver ahead of time.
That's what it should be. If there was a waiver Starcruiser, I'd be all in on that.
Oh, so like the Starcruiser, but like a waiver in the beginning that says something like, you may get injured on this.
Yes, exactly.
Did I tell you guys my friend did the Void? They did the Marvel one. There was a Marvel one that was only in select locations, and he said that one was really cool. Although he said the Star Wars one was better. But
Yeah, I mean, I did the 2 at Disney so far. The Star Wars one was definitely better. It was the Wreck-It Ralph was okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The Star Wars one has so far been a favorite.
It's worth noting, by the way, this patent was filed like 3 years ago, and so I don't know if they were just planning ahead. And there's also been a bunch of others. There's been a bunch of other patents we've talked about that seem to lend itself to this particular attraction. So, like you said, Trevor, it seems like a bunch of different new technology is going to be part of this. So, I know, David, not new technology, but
yeah, I wouldn't even say it's new. I think it's just Disney is good at putting things together in a way that you wouldn't necessarily think of.
Using existing technology in a new way.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? We're actually like shockingly early today. We're only at an hour and a half here. That's crazy.
I think a lot of that's to do with the fact that there isn't much to talk about until things start opening up again.
See, I thought there were too many things to talk about with all the new opening stuff, but I do feel like a lot of the stuff has been
talked to death already. Yeah,
it's been talked to death on Facebook and on other podcasts. So I don't think there's a need for us. I know people want to know our opinions, but I think we pretty much gave them, right? I guess, but
yeah.
And I that's the other thing. All this is temporary, right? So most of it is going to be temporary, and we don't know when it's going to change, right? They're already changing some of the stuff at Shanghai that was put into place, and it's only been open for a couple weeks. So it's these things are going to change as the situation changes. So I don't think anybody should look at these things now and like freak out that this is how things are going to be forever.
Yeah, and I guess to that, and we've all talked about canceling our trips coming up here, but that's. Again, it's how things look right now, and it's probably just more erring on the side of caution, because kind of like what Disney's doing is we don't want to be the first ones in the park going, hey, this is great, but nothing's open, or heaven forbid that there's another outbreak of coronavirus, but I guess we're all thinking of this from the standpoint of I don't want to be the guinea pig for this stuff. Like I know that there's plenty of other people that want to be the first one in, and more than
not me. I'm good not being the first person in. I'm good not being that.
Yeah, for those that want to, all the power to you. That's fine if you want to do that. That doesn't work for me and my situation.
I mean, I just want to cancel because I saw that the electrical water pageant's not going to be going on during the reopening here. So
that is like the ultimate social distancing.
Well, it's funny how like all the things that I don't care about aren't coming back. So that's, or excuse me, are paused for right now. Yes.
But literally, well, that's true. You don't care about the nighttime stuff. Nope. You don't care about the parades. You don't care about character meetings. You don't care about character dining.
Yeah, I really don't care about character dining anymore. I did when my kids were younger. In character meet and greets, like we do them and my daughter does them, but we're starting to get to that point where like there's this little window where, your kids are young, so they do them. And then they do them again, ironically, when they're like, or not ironically, when they get older. There's a little break in between there. And then, again, when they have their own kids or stuff like that. So I'm at this like weird spot where I don't really need those either.
I feel it's more like, you kind of go in and out of phases with it. Like with our family, that there was trips where we didn't do any character meets at all. And then there was other ones where we did a whole ton of them.
We never had a trip where we never did any at all. That's crazy. But I get it, but we never done that.
Like I said, for us, I feel there's a bit of an ebb and flow to, sometimes you want to do it, sometimes you don't. And I guess just the fact that they're not even an option is what irks me the most right now.
I get it. All right, gentlemen, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap this thing up? And Damon, you got anything else you want to yell about?
No, I don't need to yell about anything at this point.
You're just tired and
just tired. Yeah, do back-to-back podcasts is tough, man.
It is. It's tough.
It's definitely tough, and I don't have to host either one of them, and it's still tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I couldn't. I don't think I could do both of those.
No, this one is definitely less work. in terms of like I don't have to like think about characters' names. I don't have to think about when shows are out or anything like that. The other one is like more draining in terms of trying to keep up with all the data because it changes. The one thing about Disney is like things may get tweaked, but changes are long times coming, right? Like new stuff coming is like we talk about it for a year. Like it's hard to forget about it. But go watch like 5 shows in the 2-week span and then talk about all 5 of them is very difficult.
That is tough. There's a lot more pre-work I feel like you have to do for your other show. So
I think you do a lot of pre-work though. But yeah, I mean, I'm not doing it on either one of them, but I just have to remember people's names. So that's not the worst. It's not the worst. So no, nothing to really talk about except go listen to this podcast and that podcast and, you know. And
don't listen to all the other welcome homes that are popping up all over the place.
No, I'm very, very disappointed.
I don't know what they're doing, but they're not.
Well, the one is like a home building place. Like they talk about like construction.
Really?
Like welcome to your home sort of thing. But then they should have just called it like welcome to your home instead of welcome home. Gosh, I'll tell you.
I guess to be fair, it's not like, you know, Disney coined the term welcome home. They just
That's true.
Used it for DVC and yeah.
We stole it.
Because what is the where did I just go recently? Well, not recently because we haven't gone anywhere recently, but when I went to Silver Dollar City, is that the Welks? I think the Welks Hotel also uses the same phrase.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I'm going to go right now and look it up, but I believe it's the same exact phrase because I have a pen that says welcome home, and I'm like, oh, that's from, no, that's from the Welks Resorts.
I always find it funny when I see people on some of the groups that get disappointed when people don't say welcome home to them when they're in the parks or when they come back to the resort.
Like, why are you so petty?
It's so petty. It's so petty. Or when your magic band doesn't turn purple.
Mine has never turned purple. I mean, I don't care.
I was gonna say I've had not this last trip, but the trip before. My wife and I scanned in and it turned purple and hers didn't. And then on the next time we went in, the opposite happened. So it became like a competitive thing. Yeah.
Well, there's also, you got the double whammy there too, because you gotta, if it turns purple, then the cast member is also supposed to say welcome home if they notice that.
Oh, I don't even pay attention to that. I was just like, I got purple.
Oh yeah, no, if it turns purple, the cast member notices they're supposed to say welcome home to you.
If they notice.
Wait, so I do have something what happens when your contract is paid up? Since both my contracts are now paid up, like, do you get an email from them? Nothing happens? Like, what goes on?
I have no idea.
I don't know, because I've never had to do that.
Yeah, I didn't have that situation. I would assume they're going to say something to you about the loan being paid up. I feel like I should know this, but
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I guess you will. If someone knows, let us know on the Facebook page or somewhere else. Just let us know what happens when your loan's paid up. I didn't have a loan through Disney when I bought my initial one. I had a separate loan. So,
but I mean, did they do anything when you were paid up? Oh, because you paid up front. I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do it that way. So the first time around. So,
I guess we'll find out.
I guess
you
get
a plaque.
You're always about your plaques. You always got to have the plaques.
I would love a plaque. I think Katie still has to make us a plaque because I'm definitely gonna. If I don't go November, I'm definitely losing points.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, you should be able to bank them, though, right?
Yeah, but what did it say? Yeah, but it only says I can bank for an extra year, only 2020 points, not 2019 points. I have like 40 2019 points that I would lose.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's a challenge. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. You could.
I'm going to bring that up to them. I'm going to say I would like a plaque.
All right. Well, Trevor, you want to go? You want to go ahead and wrap us up?
Yeah.
We're just determined to get this to an hour 45 for some reason.
No, I think we were just chatting because we can, and it's our show. So
that's funny.
Yeah. All right. So, anything that you guys heard about on the show, if you have questions, comments, if you have things that you want us to talk about, we're always open to getting emails at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. If you don't want to talk to us on there, we are also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. Twitter is Welcome Home Pod, and Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. Those obviously all feedback to Facebook, but we do talk to a lot of you guys on Facebook, and again, we love having that interaction with you guys and hearing your questions and comments and general observations about the stuff that we see, because I think it helps us get better at talking about these things as well, because we've kind of formed this cool community here that you're all a part of.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
We never expected that to happen.
Exactly. And
especially kind of organically, like it's happened. So that's
yeah,
cool.
it's super nice to see everybody is cool with each other in our group. So
still not a single reported post in our group. It's amazing.
Yeah. Let's not start that now.
Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah. Let's keep away from it.
And outside of Facebook, you can go to the website, which is welcomehomepodcast.com. You will find the most recent episodes
Absolutely
on there.
nothing.
You'll find the most recent episodes there. And
you revamp it, Damon? You revamped
it? You did.
No, I didn't revamp it anytime soon.
It looks fine.
It looks great.
Yeah. You know what we need, though? We need new quotes from us. I think that's what we should do. We should just have a list of cool quotes. Something about us that you would, again, I've been doing too many interviews, but hey, tell us something about yourself that people wouldn't expect, and we can put them up on the website and then people would go there.
We can do something like that. Yeah, I think we can make that happen.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I got caught looking up plaques because I was trying to determine if I could actually make myself a plaque and how much it would cost.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're expensive. Plaques are expensive. Like $70 for a good one.
They're very expensive.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can find a plaque, maybe we'll put it onto the store, which, by the way, if any of you are looking for some merch, you can...
what a good transition that was.
Thank you. And you can find our store.
I'm going to the store right now.
Store.welcomehomepodcast.com. Yep.
What would I buy here?
Get a mug, get a shirt. It's all
Wait,
good.
They have masks.
Yeah, we have masks.
Yeah, we have masks.
Oh,
see that?
Get a welcome home mask.
Welcome home mask, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That has definitely piqued my interest a little bit more.
Yeah. So, so check that out. And as usual, if you guys found us on...
Can you get a mask, Tom? No, it says there's no designs to display. Tom, come on, get on that, man.
What are you talking about?
You can't actually buy a mask.
You should be able to. That's a new product. You should be able to get any product that they have.
No, you can get all the other products. It says there's no designs on there, though. You have to go do something.
I guess I'm going to have to do something. I didn't think I had to. Okay, all right.
So, well, Tom,
let me get on
I'm about to buy 100 masks right now, and now I can't buy any.
I'll get on it. All right.
Wow. Can I get the train
You can still buy a onesie,
please?
though. Don't worry. Onesies are still there.
Onesie. Yeah, if you want a onesie for yourself, or for your child, probably. They don't make adult size onesies, but
I would wear that.
Wow, this is really going off the rails. All right, go ahead, Trevor. Last part here.
So I was going to say, if you guys found us on iTunes
Get a good
or
tank top.
Spotify
Get a tank top.
or any of those services, that's all right.
David's just discovering our store
what's
right now.
What's a curvy tank? What the heck is a curvy tank?
Is this the first time you've been in our store?
It's the first time I saw a curvy tank. I want to know what that is.
Gosh, I don't know. I have no idea.
A racerback? What is a racerback? There's a lot of stuff out here. People should go look.
Okay, if anyone out there is enjoying this train wreck, you can leave us a review on iTunes or something like that.
Yeah, do that, please.
By the time it goes up, maybe Tom will have fixed masks.
I'll get masks on there. I promise. I just need to make it as a product that we can sell. So I will do that, and you can go get a mask. So anyway, sorry, Trevor.
No, it's all good.
Oh, what a mess!
It's one of those days.
It's just, this is how the end of the podcast always goes because we get punchy. So don't forget to subscribe. I can't even speak. Don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any place you can find podcasts. You can find us. Search for Welcome Home and find the one that's a castle and not any other, imposter Welcome Homes that seem to be popping up daily.
If they were smart, they'd have a castle as their logo as well.
Just to steal our listeners? We're by far the most popular Welcome Home podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least we got that going for us.
Yeah, it would be bad if we weren't.
It would be terrible. I would hate that. All right, so just as a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own, so please contact a DVC representative, a Disney cast member, for more information about anything we talked about today. Big thank you to our sponsors today, DVC Rental Store. Really appreciate them sponsoring us and being our partners for quite a while now. They've been probably over a year now. They've been working with us, so we appreciate them. Please check them out. Please, of course, as always, join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.